I'm Ariana Grande.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Erivo.
And you're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
Visit bpn.fm to discover more.
Hi, I'm Alex Wyse. Welcome to the Theater Podcast with Alan Seals.
Hey everyone, I'm Alan Seals, and you've reached another all-new episode of the Theater Podcast. Our guest for this episode is Alex Wyse, who just seems to have a different creative engine than the rest of us. He doesn't just wait for the phone to ring, but instead he just goes out and builds the entire phone company. We talk about the transition from being a theater-obsessed kid in the suburbs of Cleveland to becoming a multi-hyphenate force in New York. And we get into some really honest territory on the episode, including a hilarious story about him playing soccer and a very calculated feint that basically sealed his career, ended his career as a soccer player and started his life on the stage. But we get into the heartbreak of his Broadway debut that didn't go quite as he planned it, and how he turned that into a specific kind of fuel for writing and directing and producing. And we also dive into the beautiful, quiet power of his current work, which involves telling a survival story through the lens of one of history's most famous mimes, Marcel Marceau. And this is just a fun conversation about staying curious and keeping those creative plates spinning when the industry tries to put you in a box. Can't wait to share this conversation with you. Make sure to find me online on all the social media platforms. You can watch the video version of this episode on Patreon or Spotify. And now, everybody, please enjoy this episode with Alex Wyse.
Here you go. 1, 2, 3.
My guest today is an actor, a writer, a director whose work spans from the Broadway stage to the digital screen, and you have seen him on Broadway in the original company of Lysistrata Jones, the Deaf West revival of Spring Awakening, and as Ogie in Waitress. He's the co-creator and star of the award-winning digital series Indoor Boys, and his extensive television credits include The Bold and the Beautiful, Marvel's Iron Fist, and Modern Family, and currently he's performing in a new show, Marcel on the Train. Alex Wyse.
Hey,
welcome
Alan.
to the Theater Podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here with you.
Thank you. You've done so much.
Uh-oh.
And I feel like I've gotten to know you through the directing, the producing, and the writing. And it's been a minute since I've seen you on stage.
Sure.
What brought you back?
Well,
Ka-ching.
Yeah, exactly. I'm off Broadway for the money. I like doing something that feels different from the last thing that I did.
Fair.
So if the last thing I did is spend some time writing or directing, then I hope that the next thing I do can be acting. And this year's been really cool. I've done 2 plays in a row, 2 very interesting plays. I just did practice at Playwrights Horizons, and I'm doing Marcel on the Train, a classic stage company, playing through March 22nd. And
Playing Henri.
yeah, that's right, playing Henri. Yeah, but we just say Henri.
Hey, Henri.
Henri. Sounds like a color. So yeah, I just like having a lot of variety in my life and trying to keep all these different plates spinning. Like, people have asked me, what do you like better? Do you like acting better? Do you like writing better? And I just like doing all the things, as many things as I can do.
Creating.
Yeah, because it's all different expressions of the same kind of impulse. It's all
Yeah.
coming from the same place, but I just like to switch up the way I express it, the way I use my brain and use my voice.
Like you feel a compulsion. That's the word.
That's a word.
You compulsion to create. Like, do you have to wake up in the morning? You wake up in the morning and you're like, I have to make something today.
Yeah. I mean, I inherited some lovely OCD from my mother, and and you know what I've done is I've first off, shout out to my awesome mom, but I think I've used that compulsion. I've tried to put it to good use. Like, maybe when I was younger, I had more of an issue with being overly critical of myself, and now if I put my work onto a piece of paper, I can use that criticism, that critical voice, and use it toward what's on that page and figure out, okay, how can I rearrange these words? What can I do to these sentences to make this feel more alive? And it's like a never-ending task, but it's really exciting when the compulsory parts of me have a job to do.
The compulsory parts of me have it. I need a job for several of my parts.
I think you do a very good job of creating jobs for yourself. I mean, you have this podcast, you've so many podcasts in the podcast world that you are a part of. And I think that's an important thing to do, to have lots of different kinds of projects. And wait, I'll say, I want you to talk about yourself, but I also want to say one more thing. I've also found that like, in my writing quests, for example, if I say I have a difficult night at the show, like I didn't feel like I did well that night or something, or whatever, BS thing I've told myself that evening, or I'm frustrated with something at work, I can go home and I work on another project, and then it feels like the show that I'm in, and this is not an indicator that there's been difficulty with Marcel. I'm speaking in general terms, but I think that I can go home, work on another project, and remember that the show I'm in is not the entire world.
Yeah,
it's one little universe, and if I dip my toes in multiple universes, then they all then I can have perspective on all of the others. So that really helps me. That helps me kind of step away from my own neuroses, and okay, that's the end of that point.
You're traveling down a different spoke of the same hub.
Yeah,
but you're still part of the same universe. And I find that too, that if I'm stuck and I'm obsessing over something, or I can't figure something out, or I'm stressing about something, I literally will just like go take a shower, or like go blow the heads off of aliens for a few hours, like playing
and then you'll go play some video games.
And then I go play video games.
Totally.
But like just having that little bit of time to separate yourself gives you so much clarity. And I love that you have the talent to be able to channel that into, instead of maybe video games, like you're going and writing scripts.
Oh, thanks.
Or like have the gumption to go out and like work on your next project with whoever your collaborator of the week is, because you've worked with so many amazing people.
Oh, thanks. I mean, I really try very hard to surround myself with people who make me feel creative, and who make me feel like I need to work, and we can pass each other the baton in the race back and forth, and help each other continue going till we reach that goal as a team.
Well, you grew up in Beechwood, Ohio.
I did. That's a suburb of Cleveland.
The Clevelands. There's a lot of theater in Cleveland.
Yeah, there is.
A lot of theater lovers in Cleveland. So were you exposed to that when you were a kid? Like, what got you into this?
Yeah, so much so. I think Cleveland is actually a great place to grow up because it's such a national joke. And do you know what I mean? Like, everybody makes fun of Cleveland. There's so many punchlines, especially in old sitcoms, like, you're going to go to Cleveland, So that was like Roger the Alien from American Dad. Is what you're going to go to Cleveland. Anyway, but I find that because Cleveland has this reputation that it doesn't deserve, the people of Cleveland have tried very, very hard to raise their game and to create a really great place to grow up and to cultivate the arts. And there's amazing food, and there are like a lot of really nice towns in the Cleveland area. So because of that, there was so much theater growing up, and I was involved in so many youth productions and like small local professional productions. And so I felt like I got to start working with adult actors when I was a kid in a way that really shaped me and asked of me to grow up and to become a professional even before I was a professional.
What was it that got you into doing theater, though? Like, why did you not want to do soccer or ballet or something else that other kids love to do?
When I was a child, I played soccer for maybe 1 week. And I remember there was this one time, I'll never forget this. I got passed the soccer ball and it was right in front of me. And I remember looking out and seeing the whole, all the parents in the stands start to cheer. And they're like, go, go. And it was like stationary in front of me. And meanwhile, all the other kids were on the other side of the field. And so I pretended to faint. That is an absolutely real story. I was like, oh, and I just fell down onto the grass, and all the parents sat down, like very confused as to what happened to the 6-year-old boy with a stationary soccer ball in front of him. But I think I just didn't really have a choice.
And then someone in the back said, get that kid into theater.
Yeah, exactly. That child needs to perform. So I think I just always knew that, I mean, it was something I totally loved. I also was very lucky in that I had a really cool grandmother who lived in New York, who was a writer, and she was like tangentially involved in theater, but she was like she wrote novels and poems, and like she was super cool, and we would come and visit her like once a year, and I would see shows with my grandma. I'd see Broadway shows with my grandmother. It was so cool. And I just remember, looking at like seeing Beauty and the Beast and looking at that kid playing Chip and thinking, damn you, because I could do that. I should be up there. I should be Chip, whoever that lovely kid was, I'm sure he's great.
Grew up to be John Cameron Mitchell. Who
Yeah,
knows?
exactly. Yeah.
No, I wonder who that person would be. This
yeah,
would
no,
be
no.
when the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah,
Anyway.
probably mid 90s is when I was seeing that show.
There you go.
But anyway, that kid is probably fantastic, and I hope they're well. But I just saw these kids up there, and I also thought, like, oh my gosh, I fit in with the kid. I fit in up there. Like, those are my people up there on that stage. And it was this like very, very intense calling. And I just always felt my entire life like I had absolutely no choice but to work as hard as I possibly could to be a part of that thing so I could feel like I am home.
When did you feel home for the first time?
Oh gosh. Well, I have one very well, the first play I ever did, I was like 5, 6 years old, and I was in the ensemble of Oliver, and I walked from one side of the stage to the other, and right, yeah, and sang with the ensemble "Consider Yourself," and I just thought, this is it, I've arrived.
Doesn't get any better than this.
Yeah, but I think every time I was a part of a group like that, and it didn't matter what I was doing, what I was playing, I felt like I was with my people. I'd be at school, at public school with these lots of kids, and there were a few kids here and there whom I liked and who understood me, but I'd go to the theater and all these kids were as funny and cool and weird and as I aspired to be. So I liked to. So I just did whatever I could to surround myself with that kind of person, and so I don't know. I just think I didn't have a choice.
And then, do you remember, was there ever a decision, or was it just always in your head that you were going to go into college and do this for a living? And I mean, you went to Boston University, which is not easy to get into.
Yeah, it's a good school. I had a terrible time, but it's a very good school.
Really?
Yeah. But there was never I never had to be like, should I pursue theater? It was just so who I was I needed to be a part of the arts. And I loved it so intensely, and I just only felt I felt my happiest when I was involved in that. So I didn't have a choice. And I went to BU because I also figured out that I didn't want to pursue musical theater, even though I was also a singer. I just thought I would get a better overall theater education, and this is just personal to me. I thought I'd get a better, like, kind of broader theater education going to a place like Boston University, but also it was a good choice for me because I could also study playwriting, I could study directing, and I started to sharpen those skills, and those started to feel real for me as well. I think if I had been in like dance training every day, which is not something I'm very good at, then I think I might have been in the wrong place for me and would not have had the space to open up my brain to different disciplines within theater.
Well, so growing up then, you go to college and you're performing and et cetera, right? And what was it? Was there a moment or anything when you were just like, oh, I'm going to try directing now. I'm going to try writing now. Like when was it that you sort of like branched out from what you were comfortable with?
I think it was always just based on like, just feeling it. Okay, for instance, there was a girl I went to high school with, or went to a neighboring high school. Is a good friend of mine, a girl named Julie Marks, who now lives in Germany, but she's an opera singer, and especially during our high school and college, and I was so inspired by her voice, and I thought I gotta just like maybe I could write a song that my friend Julie could sing. And so I just started writing songs. And then my senior project was I wrote a song cycle. I'd never written songs, but I knew what made a good song by studying musical theater. I was so obsessed with musical theater as a kid. Now I have more hobbies now. But when I was a kid, I needed to understand like what makes this song work and what makes this song not work, and why does this song soar over here, and why does this song have this particular rhyme scheme. And I was just fascinated. And so I tried to emulate these different things. And when I found someone, and the first one for me was my friend Julie, who her voice just sent me soaring. So I had to be a part of her talent. And so she got me writing just by the nature of her being so good. And I think that I've had a lot of moments like that where a particular actor is inspiring me. And so I have to write something for them. I have to do that. In fact, a project I've been working on for the past year started uh, because of my excitement about a particular actor. And now I'm in post-production on a film. So
Very cool.
yeah, thanks. I can tell you all about that too. But it's just I'm just trying to. I think it's just another extension of trying to surround myself with people who understand me and who inspire me and who like strike that match inside of me, and it just gets me going. And I know that I'm like on this earth to follow those impulses and do my best to create things so I can create rooms filled with more of those people who are cool and inspire me and make me into the best version of myself. And we can all make each other better by making a project as a collective. That's cool, right?
That is very cool, and I enjoy that. That you put your friends, like you create for your friends, you create for the people that
Yeah.
inspire you. Like you find muses in all of these little different areas,
Yes.
and a lot of people get together and they're like, "Oh man, we should do this thing." Like some people, they're like, "Let's go have lunch next week," and you never hear from them again for 6 years.
Sure.
But like you're like, "Let's make a film together," and then you just go do it.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not to say I haven't had a lot of lunches that didn't go anywhere, but I've had many lunches in my day. But I really try to find those projects that make me feel like I gotta work on this for several years. This is worth it because I have something I have to say, or there's this person I have to work with.
Yeah.
And along the way, I meet so many other muses. Like on this particular film I'm working on, it's called Actual Nobodies, and I think it's going to come out maybe at the end of this year, maybe next year. We'll find out. We're nearing the end of post production right now, but it stars Dee Khan and Austin McKenzie, who was Melchior in Spring Awakening when I did that back in the day. I forgot what the beginning of my sentence was. Along the way, I've met so many incredible people who, like my passion for this particular story fed into theirs, which could feed back into mine, and we could have this sort of loop of ideas and like, as I said before, like keep passing the baton back
Yeah.
and forth and get to a finish line together. So yeah, that feels like that's why I'm on this planet. So I owe it to myself to follow through with these projects. Otherwise, like I don't know what the point is.
Yeah, well, that's a really good point. What is the point if we're not just finishing what we started? Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to the episode. Indoor Boys too. I want to touch on that for a second because
Sure.
that's multiple seasons, huge names, multiple awards.
Oh,
Like, where did that
thanks.
even? It's an incredible series.
Oh, thank you.
And so, like, where did that idea come from? Was that like you're working co-written with Wes Taylor, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
all started because Wes and I were like lonely in Los Angeles, and we started really like vibing as friends and feeling like we had a great tete-a-tete. And so I think the idea was, let's make a web short. So we made a web short, and then we thought, what if we made a second web short with these same characters? It honestly snowballed from something so small. And we just kept going and going and going and bringing in more characters and developing the story until eventually we had made a series. I don't think I set out to make a series. That was not even on my radar. I just wanted to do something
Yeah.
with like this time that I'd been given, this time and this frustration I'd been given. And I will say especially, I was on a soap opera at the time where I felt, I don't know if I've said this but I can say this. I felt like so closeted on that soap opera.
Really?
Yeah, because it was a sort of like like old world version of TV. And I remember like there were a lot of fans on that soap opera who were like, "No, we hate him. He's gay," So I felt so like I don't belong in this world. What am I doing here? Why am I? It was very confusing at the time. And so I think I needed to make something as unabashedly gay as I possibly could
Mhm.
as a way to like counteract, this kind of soap world. And not to say there weren't good things in that soap world. There were. I'm thankful for it. But it was also hard. And I don't know that I totally fit in there. So I made a place where I fit in. So that for me, that's where a lot of that came from. And then it was like, okay, who's around us? Who are our friends who live in Los Angeles who will do this with us? And then Wes had to move to New York for SpongeBob. and I followed shortly after to go back and do Waitress, and so we were like, okay, I guess these characters just moved to New York. Who do we know in New York? And maybe these characters have family members, and here are some like amazing leading ladies whom we are crazy about. How do we get to work with them? How do we create that? So Carolee Carmello did it, and Vianne Cox did it, and these people, and Michael Kostroff, who it's just so many fantastic actors who we got to surround ourselves with, and it was all circumstantial about what was happening in West in my life and what was happening socially for us, and the things we felt, the things we're struggling with in our own romantic relationships or family relationships. We could just kind of pour it into this series. So it wasn't ever like from the place of I shall make a series. It was from the place of I need to say something. I need to do something. I have these feelings. So what's the best container for these feelings? That's this movie too, Actual Nobodies. It came from a place of like feeling so frustrated in the world. And so I wrote this movie about like two very lonely people who find themselves and who find each other and themselves in this kind of unexpected way. And it's a sweet comedy drama, and I'm excited for people to eventually see it. Maybe later when this podcast is revisited down the road, people will be able to say, I shall go rent it, or I'll go
We
see
can
it in the
re-release
theater.
it. Re-release this episode when your movie comes out.
Wonderful. I'm doing like my pre-press for it now, because why not?
You're doing your press for your press.
Yeah. I want to just grease the wheels a little bit. But all these different things are just from me having this impulse and trying to figure out where it best fits in. Also, this musical I'm writing right now with Ben Fankhauser, he and I are hard at work. We've been hard at work for about a year on this brand new musical that we're so excited about. And it's this wild story about like some sci-fi elements, but it's all because of these feelings of like, jealousy, or feelings of like feeling small in the light of somebody else's moment. So things that I like dealt with in my own life that I was then thinking, okay, what's the container for these feelings? And so each one of these projects is a kind of therapy for me. And then if I can create something out of it, every time I can think to myself, wow, well, it's a really good thing I went through that heartbreak. It's a really good thing because look what I made. I got to make my album called Picking Up Speed, which you can hear right now, which is a solo musical, which is all about like a calamitous relationship that I went through. But I'm so glad I went through it because I got to write this piece about this character going through something similar and create a show and then an album out of it.
Wow.
So it's all like for something if I make it into something. That's what I try to. Now I'm going to take a sip of coffee.
So then when you finally get to Broadway, make your debut in Lysistrata Jones.
Yeah.
That was a powerhouse of a show.
Oh, thanks.
That were
burns bright and fast, right? Yeah.
Like working with that team, was it what you had expected it to be, like making the debut and being in New York, and like the goal that so many people have is to be on Broadway, and then you've made it.
I know. What a fairy tale that we've told ourselves.
Right?
Yeah, it's really beautiful the way that's so untrue. But I'm so thankful that I got to be a part of that show, and that show was my first Broadway experience. What's funny too is when I was a kid, I was really obsessed with flop musicals, and I was really into that book, Not Since Carrie by Ken Mandelbaum, which is like chronicling so many notable flops throughout Broadway history. And I was just fascinated, and I was like, how is it possible there are all these shows that I haven't heard of, didn't work, or didn't get good reviews? What is this whole underground world of musicals? And then my first outing turned into exactly that. So it was like my greatest dream come true, followed by my biggest heartbreak. So it was a huge learning experience about learning how to like pick myself back up and redefine what this dream actually was. Which is when I started getting closer to the dream of like, I need to work with people who inspire me, which is a lot of why I'm so thankful for Marcel on the Train playing a classic stage company through March 22nd. Can you tell I've watched a lot of Drag Race? But being a part of Lysistrata Jones, like when that show closed, it was so easy to feel like that show's lack of success was my lack of success.
You took it personally.
Yeah, I couldn't separate the two. I was really young and I didn't understand that I wasn't my career. I was actually a human being who was going through these different experiences, and thank goodness I had more experiences, good and bad, that were still ahead of me that could help further deepen and add more pieces to the puzzle that is me. But at the time when all I had was like this success and this fall, it was so hard not to take it as my fall. So I'm glad that experience came first, because I think it prepared me for so many other tough times that were ahead and gave me more tools. By learning how to pick myself back up, I could have more tools going forward when I inevitably fell again, which I've fallen so many times, but that's a career in the arts.
Yeah.
We just keep stumbling, and then we have to learn how to pick ourselves back up and find a new chapter, a new adventure to go on.
Right. And so when you fall, is that when you kind of want to try, not try, but when you sort of leapfrog into another category of like, I'm going to write now, or I'm going to go back and produce something, or now I want to get back on stage? Or is it just like, you've done one for a certain amount of time, you're like, it's time to switch lanes for a second?
Maybe it's more of that. And I can't really control if something is going to be a success or not. Things are going to be received how they're going to be received. And everything I work on, I love them all the same. I love all my children the same, and whatever job they get in the world, I can't control. I guess you could think of it that way. But yeah, I just am trying to find different ways to I don't know, different ways to learn about myself through all these different mediums.
Well, you've been on both sides of the stage multiple times, right?
Yeah.
So even something like you just said, you can't control how people receive a show, but and you took like Lysistrata Jones, you took personally, but there are so many things now, I'm sure you know, that are completely outside of your control that you had no idea were even decisions to be made of just like, how do we market a show? Where do we spend the money on? Where are
Totally.
we going to get our funds from? How long is rehearsal? That's going to affect the chemistry that we have between these people before, like the recipe that goes into making the final product is so freaking intense.
Right.
And then by the time it gets into the actor's hands, I would say a good bulk of it, the majority of it, the pre-prod work sometimes take years. It's already done and it's out of your hands. But like, you as a kid, you didn't know this, you didn't realize any of this.
I mean, I guess how could you until you've jumped into the deep end? But now I know that any project getting made is the result of like a million tiny decisions.
So many.
And like a million tiny miracles and fortuitous moments.
Yeah.
Just a quick anecdote, like about this film that I'm making right now. I've been working with a music supervisor to get certain songs for the film in the edit, and there was this one song that was approved, and we had it in the edit for months, and then we got an email. This was like 2 weeks ago, and he said, "I'm so sorry, but Sony will not release the rights to this song." And I was like, no, this moment's gonna fall apart. What am I gonna do? And because he he sent over all these other songs. He said, "Here, these are some others that you could potentially use." I tried them out, and there's this one song that unlocked this whole new thing in the edit that we could do. I was like, "Oh my goodness, this is a whole different way to tell this story." And I could add in this footage that I'd previously gotten rid of because I couldn't find a place for it. But now, with the accompaniment of this song, this moment works in a whole new way. It breaks open the story in a whole new way. It enriches this character in a whole new way. And had first quote unquote failure not happened, I never would have had this like brand new moment in my film. And so I think that's like a microcosmic example for how we're supposed to look at life.
Yes.
That when we fall, it's for something, even if we can't see it yet. It gets a little like woo-woo spiritual, but I think as someone who like is constantly faced with all of these different paths to walk down at like hyper speed, it feels like that's the life of an artist. So many wild chapters and changes. I think, and so many decisions you have to make. Like, what do I want my present, my future to be? What gamble should I take? So I think when something doesn't go your way, it's actually in service to us, even if we can't see it in the moment. So I'm gonna try to remember that advice for myself the next time I get discouraged when I don't get some job, which will happen again, or something doesn't come together the way I thought it was supposed to, which will happen again. And I'll just try to remember that is actually happening for me, even if I can't see how yet, because it's going to give that character, and maybe that character is me, a new perspective and a new kind of depth, and enrich this character in the span of this story or my life. So that's what I kind of think about life. I'm going to take another sip of coffee now.
Mic drop.
Ah! Ah! Are we still recording? Oh, have we started yet? We haven't started yet. have we?
No, this is a great rehearsal.
Okay, yeah, good.
yeah,
I'm
good.
excited to start.
Good.
Let me know when we're recording, okay?
Let's talk about Henri.
I'd love to.
And Marcel on the Train. Based on the true story of Marcel Marceau, very famous French mime.
That's right.
And I heard this name growing up. I knew of him. I knew about him as in the entertainment world and had zero clue that he was risking his life multiple times to chaperone Jewish children and get them out of occupied France in World War II.
Yeah, it's really such a fascinating story, and it was an untold story for so long until toward the end of their lives, Marcel and his brother George started opening up about these transports that they would do to take these children to safety.
Just an incredible thing, and there are so many of these stories. I think that I love, like this and Operation Mincemeat and these other shows that are now like bringing names and attention to literal dead bodies, right? Like Mincemeat is just like let's say the person's name because it's a body that turned the tide in World War II. But like the story that Marcel on the Train has. I mean, when did this even come to you, and what did you think about it when you first read the script?
Well, I thought it was fascinating. Ethan Slater and Marshall Paylett co-wrote this together, and this is a story that I know Ethan found and brought to Marshall, and I think it spoke to both of their passions about about what it means to be Jewish, what it means to survive something, their love for clowning and physical comedy. They're both so incredible at that.
So Ethan's done straight clown school and
yeah,
stuff, right?
totally.
Yeah.
He's unbelievable. I cannot say enough things about Ethan Slater. On and off stage, he's a fantastic person. And I just want that to go on the record. He is a fantastic person. When they asked me to do a reading of this, I guess it was about 3 years ago.
Oh, wow.
I was just, honestly, at first I was just, you hear that siren? That's my ride. When they asked me to do this, at first I was just so excited. I got to work with Marshall and Ethan. This is my third show with Marshall. He previously directed me in Triassic Park, and he also directed a musical that I wrote called A Commercial Jingle for Regina Comet.
Love Regina Comet.
Oh, thanks, Sal. Thank you. And so, yeah, Marshall did both of those. And so I was just like, heck yeah, let's go again, Marshall. I'm so excited. And what I loved about it was how it told this very challenging and dark story in very creative and comedic ways. I think the show is also, it's so funny, and it's also a thrill ride. And so I love that that it took this kind of unknown chapter of history and of this one man's life and turned it into the sort of universal story about the right to survival told through both dramatic and comedic ways. So I was just so happy to be a part of that and happy to work with these guys. I think they're very, very special people.
So Henri and the other children, the other characters in the show, like you're all adults playing children.
Right.
But all of them are real people. We're real people, yes?
I think they're all sort of vaguely based on real people. The kids are more an invention of Ethan and Marshall, as the actual kids who were saved were not, those stories have not emerged as much. So these characters are really much more created by Marshall and Ethan. But Henri is, I don't know, the smug, wisecracking, prideful, deeply sensitive, I think. The guy who will do anything to survive. What's cool about the show is each one of these kids also represents like different ways to survive. And Henri's is by being smug and being right, and by biting back, and so it's a real joy to
like
play that.
Not unfounded, the word I'm looking for. It's just like a dumb confidence.
Yeah, totally. That's absolute dumb confidence. I think Henri is a brilliant idiot.
Yes.
And it's really fun to play that. And it's fun to play someone who who gets to be funny in the face of this tragedy.
Yeah.
Not
yeah.
tragedy, in the face of this challenging time.
Right. Did the cast, all of you, did you have to do research, or were you given research to look up and stuff when you were like prepping for everything?
We did a lot of learning about Marcel, but then also talking a lot about what it means to be in like Nazi occupied France versus what that would have meant to be in Poland. Like being in France, we learned is different than Poland. It was a little more like, oh, there are no camps here. It was a little more, you could be a little more blasé. And so we tried to apply all of that to the way we played these scenes and to how some of this action unfolds and to what it means for there to be Nazis outside the window. It might mean something different to these French children than it would if it were set in a different part of Europe. So it was all really interesting information. But history, blah, blah, blah. It's a great show.
It is a very great show. The audience for this, the reaction is it like I saw it last night, I was telling you, and it was a packed house and everybody like just the reaction to me that everyone was like leaning in and watching this in a way that I haven't seen people watch theater in a while.
Oh, that's cool.
And because I look around every now and then because classic stage theater, it's it's like a thrust stage, right? So I was in the center and you can look at the sides and everything.
Mhm.
So I look around every now and I'm watching how people watch it and they're like leaned in and they're like, you can tell they're very into it. They're not looking around. They're not playing with their candies. They're not whatever they're
Right.
doing. And this stuff it draws them in a way that I haven't seen in a while. So the audience reactions, the feedback that you've been getting, is it different from other things? Like, I mean, Spring Awakening was also like a serious subject matter with some
Sure.
comedy in it, but I feel like when you're dealing with matters of Jewish history and Holocaust and World War II especially, there's a special place for people who come to consume this stuff.
Yeah, I think so. But I also think, to your point, there's so many moments of stillness and of silence, and so it asks the audience to tune in that way. Kind of like though this play is nothing like the movie I'm about to mention. Do you remember the movie A Quiet Place? It's about like
John Krasinski.
Yeah. But I remember being in that movie theater and you could hear a pin drop because the movie was asking of the audience to like be very mindful of. And I think this play is doing something similar. This is, these kids are being rambunctious and loud, and then there are moments where it's like, wait.
Well, there's literal mime in
and
the
there's
show.
literal mime where everyone's attention has to go to the silence and the stillness and the physical work that can punctuate that stillness. So yeah, it's cool. It's doing something different than I think a lot of plays do, and I think that's part of what makes this play so special.
It really is. It really is different, and I enjoy that it is different because right now I think there's a lot of recycled crap. I'm just gonna.
I would never say that about our lovely theatrical season.
What?
Of which I support everything.
Cast me. Cast me. No, I think, and I get it. I get that, maybe crap's not the right word. Unoriginal material, we'll go with that. Because
Sure.
when you're talking about the commercial viability of a show in the great city of New York, where it is cost prohibitive to try a new work, it's cost prohibitive to try new work.
Yeah.
So to have a story that is original, that tells something so unique that isn't guaranteed to be a blockbuster because it's recycling a story that everybody knows already, right?
Totally.
So I truly enjoy what Marcel on the Train has done and is doing. And it's bringing, again, if we can sneak in some education while being entertained, all the better.
Yeah. I think so too. And I think the arts are obviously not in like the best place, like just with capitalism getting worse and worse. I think it just becomes more and more difficult to make things that are original or to take risks. But I'm really happy that there's still things happening. There's still some like really cool shows if you look around. I mean, especially off Broadway.
Oh,
There
yeah.
is, like, I mean,
Yeah,
off Broadway
yeah.
has had such an incredible year.
Couple years since
Yeah,
COVID,
I
like
think
this
so.
huge resurgence off Broadway.
And I'm so happy to be a part of that. Happy to be a part of shows that are trying new things and that are still exciting, cool. I think Marcel on Train is a very cool play that I think yes, there's an educational element, and yes, it deals with like capital T themes, but like it's so exciting. And I think it's filled with, I mean, me aside, it's filled with beautiful performances. And then I'm in it too. Um, and I feel like the actors are just remarkable. The designers have done top tier work, and it's gorgeous. So I'm just excited to be a part of people who are at the top of their artistic game and doing something that might be important, but like effing cool. That's what I think.
We're at a time now where most, if I was going to say most, if not all, but probably like there's only a handful left of people who survived the Holocaust are still alive.
Yeah, we had a woman came to our show who is a 95-year-old Holocaust survivor.
Wow.
Right? And we were reflecting on pardon me for not remembering her name in this moment. I feel like a crap person for blanking, but she was very, very lovely and was very moved by the show, and we got to talk to her, and we were reflecting on as a cast, we were talking after, and we were like, gosh, isn't it incredible that like the number of people who are quote unquote Holocaust survivors, that's not gonna be a thing
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah.
Like those people won't exist the further we go into the future. So all we can do though is do our best to tell this story. This is a play about like how that particular story told by these particular people can reflect on all of these other stories that are still happening in the world. All these injustices that are still happening in the world, and these bursts of creativity that come out of injustices that can still happen in the world. So that's what I think is cool about the play.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to the episode. What the Constitution means to me.
Sure, that was cool to be a part of.
That was cool to be a part of. What got you going with that? And will we see more Constitution soon?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, thankfully, it's being licensed around the country now, and Heidi Schreck has created a version of the show that can be performed by anyone, even though it originally included her autobiographical elements. Now there's a version of the show that can be done by anyone and has been performed all over the country. So that's very, very exciting. And I hope that play continues to be seen. I was a small part of the original producing team on the play, and I became a part of it because I saw it downtown and was like, I just felt like it woke me up in a way that a piece of theater hadn't done in a long time. I started making calls and asking how I can be involved, how I can help out. And I thankfully got to be a part of it. I don't know why. Something about it felt so urgent to me. And it felt like it was speaking to a lot of the things that I care about in the world. A lot of the ways I've seen like subjugation of women in the world, in the generations of women in my family that have come before me. And I wanted to be a part of a story that was giving voice to that. So I don't want to pretend that it's like that show was my doing or anything, but I'm really proud that I got to be at least tangentially associated with it. It's a really, really cool play. And you can watch it now on, it's on Prime. They did a taped version that's on Prime.
I'm going to watch that tonight.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
And also you can read it, or hopefully you can see a local production of it. So anyway, it was really cool to be a part of something in a different kind of way, and to also learn about theater business through that. I also did it partially as in a selfish way, because that helped me learn about producing in a way that helped me create more of my own projects. So it kind of set me on a path to learn how to raise money, and to learn about negotiations, and to learn about acquiring theaters and all those kinds of things. And now that's the only show I've like officially produced, but still, like, I acted as a producer on my current film, Actual Nobodies. I kind of like shadow produced a little bit on my last film, Summoning Sylvia. I was a big part of the producing of Indoor Boys. So like, when things need to be done, it gave me more know-how to help those things happen, so I can get my projects done. And maybe I'll be a part of another show in the future that I am not creatively involved with, but can be producerially involved with. That can still potentially happen. But I was excited about these new perspectives on this like crazy business I find myself in.
Yeah, producing is such a loose term.
Yeah,
'Cause-
that's true.
And I'm doing my first lead producing role now.
That's awesome. Doing what?
When Playwrights Kill.
Oh,
With Beth Level and Matt Doyle.
Oh my
Kevin
God.
Chamberlain and
That's amazing.
Adam Hell.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And it's all just giving people a credit card to go spend some money and hoping they don't screw things up.
It can be that.
Yeah. No, we're doing our out of town in Boston, April 3rd through 18th.
Wow.
At the Huntington Theater.
Wait, Alan, this is
Quick
so
plug.
cool. I didn't realize that you were at
We
the
start
helm of
rehearsal
this.
on Monday.
Wow.
As we record this.
That's so. Is my should I check my spam for the offer? Because like I didn't see anything in my main inbox, but I can just check spam.
Yeah, sorry. It definitely went in your promotions tab.
It's promotions. This has happened to me before.
Yeah.
This is why I wasn't in Names 10,000 shows. Okay.
Yeah. But yes, producing can mean many things. It could mean you write a large check and show up to collect an award if it wins one.
Sure.
Or it can mean you write a large check and get to meet your favorite actor.
Or it can mean, you're a part of the fundraising.
Or it means you're part of the fundraising.
It can mean that you help do the day-to-day tasks to keep the show running. In terms of like money allocation and like managing the theater.
I mean, a lot of it is depending on how you're structured. Yeah, like you could be a CEO or a co-CEO of a company if that's how you, because it is a company that you form when you're creating these entities, right?
Yes.
These productions.
I am a part of like 6 LLCs.
Right.
It's awful for my taxes.
Right. Yeah. Your accountant's like, damn it, stop making projects.
Yeah. It's a disaster.
But it's so much fun, and along those lines too. Like I feel so in line with you in that, like, I just have to create. It's just something in every way possible. I'm like, I want to write, I want to record, I want to edit, I want to help other people shape their work. I want to bring in 1.6 million in capitalization so we could do this wonderful out of town comedy. Like all of this stuff is such a different like part of your brain, but at the same time, it's all at the end. What exactly we were talking about at the beginning was just this obsession to create.
Yeah.
And I don't feel complete at the end of the day unless I've made something.
I agree. I think it makes the tough parts of the day a lot less tough.
Yes.
And speaking to like the young actors out there, whenever I'm making something, like whenever I'm writing a scene or something, I care a lot less whether or not my agent sends me an audition. Or like if I got that job on that show or whatever. I just care so much less. It feels so much smaller to me. And I think we all have to do whatever it is. I think we all have to do things for ourselves to survive this business that make the tough parts of the business feel smaller. My particular way is by writing, by directing. That's what does it for me. It doesn't, it brings a whole host of other stresses into my life, believe me. But it does make the pain of waiting to be selected as an actor, it makes that pain manageable.
Because you're still working. And if you're not stressing about the audition, then if you don't get it, it's that much better.
Right. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter because you're still doing things.
Yeah, I don't care if I didn't get it. I don't care if I got that. I wasn't supposed to get that show.
Yeah.
I was supposed to work on my thing, and then another thing will come.
Yeah.
Right?
I like that a lot. That's good advice. All right. So as we wind down here, we're going to play plot in 60 seconds.
Okay.
We got 60 seconds up on the screen.
Okay.
I have 17 musicals listed in front of me.
Uh-oh.
You're going to get me a number 1 through 17, which will correspond to a musical on my list.
Okay.
I will tell you what you picked. You give me that plot in 60 seconds or less.
I have to tell you the plot of a musical?
In 60 seconds or less.
And if I don't know the musical, then
you better make it up.
Okay.
1 through 17.
10.
10 is The Lion King. Go.
Okay, I just saw The Lion King like a month ago with my little niece and nephew. This is part of the plot. Okay, so there is a lion. First off, it's Hamlet. And there's a lion who 45 seconds already?
remaining.
Okay, the mask work, the lighting. How's this? Is this good?
This is great. Great pitch.
Yeah, so Scar wants to be the king. So he kills Mufasa, and then Scar overtakes the land, and it is
30
up to
seconds
Simba,
remaining.
who is Mufasa's son, lion's son, to grow up to be the king he was always meant to be, and to own his power, and to overthrow Scar and take back Pride Rock. So
15
my niece
seconds
and nephew
remaining.
can have a really nice time at the theater. And that's the plot of The Lion King.
All right. I might not invest in that.
Oh, well, let me tell you your mistake because it's made billions.
That's fair. Very fair. All right, 3 standard closing questions.
Okay.
To wrap up every episode, first one simply is just what motivates you.
I guess you'll have to cut down this long pause. I don't know. I feel like, didn't I just talk about that for an hour?
Yes.
But let's see. In brief, what motivates me is getting rid of any pain that I feel inside of me by turning it into action, positive action.
All right. I like that. What advice would you give to your younger self and younger people listening now, starting out down a similar path?
Wow. The more you surround yourself with people who inspire you, the better life is going to be. And I would also advise you to beware of narcissists. If there are people who are who make you feel like you have to be smaller, I've encountered a lot of people like that in my life. People who make me feel like I have to shrink myself in order to be like tolerable. Then that's actually the wrong person for you to be around. Their view on you is actually not correct. What's correct is that you need to shine as brightly as you possibly can.
All right, last question. Hardest one. If you could only see one show for the rest of your life, but you can see it as many times as you want, what would you see?
Well, that's a nice question. You know what I would choose right now? Illinois. That was one of my favorite shows I've seen in years. And I saw it on Broadway 4 times, which is the most I think I've ever gone to see a show as a fan.
Wow.
I loved how much story I got with not a word spoken. I loved how deeply it made me feel. I loved how beautiful it looked. And I loved how much it made me think about my inner child and like the parts of me that are still like hurting and looking for connection, and it helped those parts of me heal. I think Illinois is one of the most special things I've ever seen in my life.
I love that.
That's my answer.
All right, where can we connect with you online and stream your film in a year and all the places, all the things?
Well, connect with me online. I don't know. I hate the internet. I guess, I'm on Instagram at AlexJWyse. I don't care if you follow me. It's not interesting. Don't follow me. In fact, don't follow me.
I dare you not to.
Yeah, don't follow me. I don't want you to follow me. And you can rent my first film, Summoning Sylvia. You can rent it anywhere. You can see Indoor Boys on Here TV. You can see Marcel on the Train at Classic Stage Company playing through March 22nd. And you can check out the film Actual Nobodies when it comes out in the coming life.
In the coming life.
Yeah, and hopefully there will be more places to connect with me, but those are just a few.
There will be so many. I can tell you're just gonna keep going until you can't goes no mo.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Everything
Yeah.
hurts.
Everything. I feel you.
Yeah.
You can get me on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Facebook, all the places. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm out there. Leave a rating, leave a review. Special thanks to welcome-to-timesquare.com for the lovely use of this studio. And thanks to Jukebox the Ghost for the intro and outro music. And thanks to Alex Wyse for opening up his mind and his soul and giving us this convo.
Thanks, Alan. I'm really happy to talk to you.
Thank you. It's good to see you again.
Too.
Take a deep breath, make the world a little colorful.